Okay, good. I have confirmation that everything is working. So guys, welcome to this year's annual WOODEXPERT 2025 webinar, where I will present new features and new improvements in this year's edition of WOODEXPERT. My name is Błażej Muszyński. In SolidWorks, I am a WOODEXPERT specialist. Here's a brief summary about our company. We are a software reseller and developer based in Kraków, Poland. We are, among other things, a certified reseller of SolidWorks. And one of our original solutions is WOODEXPERT, which is 3D CAD/CAM software. It is basically a SolidWorks add-in designed for furniture industry. This year, we have added over 270 new functions and improvements. I have prepared a short 3-minute presentation about each one of those, so I hope you have enough time scheduled. No, just kidding, of course. We will talk briefly about the main, biggest, most important new functions and improvements. We will discuss new components, new and improved components in our component library. Then we will talk briefly about SolidWorks 2024 and 25 support. And after the whole presentation, I will answer your questions, which you can ask during the presentation on chat. Just before we begin, I want to inform you that this presentation will be published on YouTube, but the list of participants is anonymous and questions are anonymous as well. Let's begin. First thing I'd like to discuss, first new feature is adding your own components to the library. Basically, when it comes to adding your own components to the library, there are 3 ways to do that. The first way, the way that we use in our company, is building those components from scratch. But this is quite a time-consuming and complicated process. We have to define the planes accordingly. We need to model every part separately. Then we need to combine those parts into an assembly file. We need to create a lot of mates and a lot of complicated formulas. So in order to simplify this process for our customers, we have created 2 similar tools. First of those tools is copying an existing component. I select an existing components in our library, in this case, body with full sides, and I choose function copy component. A window like this one appears where I need to enter name for my new component, name of the folder that will be created, and location of this folder within WOODEXPERT library. After I do that, I click copy, and chosen component is copied and opened. I can now add more components to it the same way as I would with a project. So here I will add a set of adjustable shelves. And this new component is now fully independent of the original. And of course, it is also parametric. So when I insert it into my project, I will be able to specify its dimensions, parameters, and so on. As you can see, it was created in the same category as the original body full size. I can now create a new category, rename it, for example, my components, and I can move my new body to this category. The second method is very similar. It is saving a cabinet or other component from an existing project. For example, here I have a small project of a bathroom in which I have this bathroom wash basin cabinet. It uses camera hangers. It has a bloom drawer and it's connected on Clamex. So what I do is I open this cabinet in subassembly, and now I use create component, and here the same window appears where I enter component's name of the new cabinet, of the new folder, sorry. I specify location of this new folder. And that's it. Again, the component is copied. It is ready to be used in my future projects. What I'd like to talk about now are part labels. What are part labels? These are basically a couple of tags that we've attached to every machinable component in our library. You can check them when you open component definition editor and go to tooling tab. And here you can see that every machinable tab has a couple of labels attached to it: body hanging back, body hanging bottom, and so on. And what is the use of those labels? Right now, we can use them for assigning materials. For example, let's say I'd like to assign materials to all fronts in my project. Before, I would have to select all of those fronts manually, like that. But right now, I can check the option find components with these labels, enter front, and now all elements that have this label will be selected. Now I can choose material and apply it. Or for instance, I want to apply material to all elements of drawers. So I simply enter drawer, click find, and all elements of drawer boxes are selected. And it works the same way with assigning finishing materials like edge banding. Let's say that I want to assign edge band to edges that are facing up, so parallel with same normal vector as selected, but only on elements that contain drawer label. And you can see all those edges were selected. Now I just choose the edge band and apply. Okay, next feature is nesting labels. So again, last year we have added a nesting module. And here I have a list of all machinable components in my project. Let me just select those fronts. And let's say I would like to manufacture 2 sets of those fronts. I go to sheets, and here I define the dimensions of sheets of material from which I will cut those elements. As you can see, I can define sheets with non-standard dimensions, or even I can use a DXF file to define a sheet that is non-rectangular, that is non-standard shape settings. Here I define the spacing from the edge of the sheet, spacing between the elements, one of 3 algorithms to calculate nesting. And here's the new part, nesting labels settings. I click create data, and now program will try to calculate the best position of my elements you can see that it is using a non-standard shape element loaded from a DXF. And here we can see that it used 4 sheets. We can switch between those and see the nesting, or I can switch to general report. And please take notice, it used 4 sheets. On first sheet, there are 7 parts. On second, there are 3 parts, 11 and 9. If I'm satisfied with nesting results, I click Generate Assembly. And now it is generating nesting data and labels. Now take a look. It generated 4 PDF files. And each of those files contains as many pages as there were parts in a given sheet. There were 4 sheets, so there are 4 PDFs, and each PDF has as many pages, as many labels, as there are elements on a given sheet. So the CNC operator, nesting operator, will place a sheet on the machine. They will start a program, and in the meantime, they can print a PDF file on a label printer to have a set of labels ready for when the elements are cut. You can see that there is a drawing of an element with edge banding and grain direction. There is a drawing showing where a given element is on a sheet. There is name of the element. Of course, this is our standard template that you can change. You can add more information like dimensions of an element, the material, your company's logo, and so on. And last couple of new functions I want to discuss are insert similarly, replace component, and custom name. So let's say I have this little project. I have just one cabinet yet. And as those of you who use WOODEXPERT know, when I insert a component, I need to specify its dimensions and position. So I need to define all those 6 faces or planes. Or oftentimes I can do what I will do now. So I just select one plane, click search, and it finds all the remaining planes. But I can make it even easier. Let's say I will want to replace this vertical partition with a horizontal partition. So what I can do, I select the vertical partition, search for horizontal, right click it, and use replace component. This will do 2 things. First, look, I did not need to select any planes. They were copied directly from the element that I pointed, from the vertical partition. And what is more, the old element will be deleted. So I have replaced vertical partition with horizontal. Now, I would like to insert a single door overlay. I right click it and use insert similarly. And look what it does. It will copy selectors, the planes and dimensions from the element that I pointed from the horizontal partition. Again, I don't need to specify anything else. Okay, and now I will show you one more use of insert similarly, and I will show you custom name. Let's say I want to insert another cabinet right next to the existing one. So I have pointed to the existing cabinet. Now I right click the component I'd like to insert and select insert similarly custom name. Now a window appears when I can insert the name for my new cabinet. Let's go with X2. Now look, the planes and dimensions were copied from the element I pointed from the first cabinet. Now I'd like this new cabinet to stand right next to the existing one, to the right side of it. So I will replace the YZ plane as the left to the right side of existing cabinet. And now I can change other dimensions. Let's say I can change configurations, and I can change, for example, the width of my new cabinet. And the fact that I used custom name and entered X2 as my name now resulted in X2 being used as the name of the assembly and in names of all the elements. I think the advantages are self-explanatory. And as I said at the beginning, those are just a few of the 270 new functions and improvements. We have sped up insertion of components, generation of BOM. And for example, now when I click Assign Core Material, the Legend tab automatically opens. The same when I click Assign Finishing Material. Or for example, when I close all files, the Components tab is opened so that I can use Copy Component. Or for instance, in our project library, now I have a preview of my project. Those all are small changes, but when they are summed up, I am sure that you will see that working with the program is easier, more comfortable. Or for example, we have added an option for the CNC machines not to generate files to one central location, but to the project folder next to the main project assembly file. Okay, and now second part of our presentation, shorter part, where I will discuss new and improved components in our library, starting with improved connector sets. Some of you may remember when every connector in our library had 8 different sets, inner dowels, outer dowels, and so on. Right now, as you can see, every component only has 2 sets, with the letter D and without it. So we will discuss them briefly. Sets with the letter D are defined primarily by distance. What does it mean? First, I need to insert it in my component. As you can see, it's very easy and very quick. Now, the main parameter here is distance. I can specify margin to be kept from front and back edges, but the main parameter is distance. This is distance that will be kept exactly between subsequent connectors in a line, in a series. Amount, if I leave it at 0, it will be calculated automatically. And dowels. Right now, what you can see is dowels to the middle. So the first and last connector in the series will get a positioning dowel towards the middle of the element. I could change it to the outside, double dowels or no dowels. And sets without the letter D, I think they are more universal and flexible. So here, again, I define distance from front and back, but this time it's not minimal distance, but exact distance. First element from the front and last element from the back. Now, here I choose how do I want to define the amount of connectors. If I select amount parameter, then there will be as many connectors as I have input, in this case 3, in exact same distance from one another. And if I select optimal distance, I think it's more flexible. The available depth with subtracted distance from front and from back will be taken and divided by this number, so that the program will insert as many confirmats as necessary, so that the distance between them is kept as close as possible to 150 millimeters. In my opinion, more flexible, more universal solution. And some new connector sets. We have implemented, as you can see, Domino, Clamex, different versions, and Cabineo, all in D and without D version, as well as many worktop connector sets from different companies. And also we have added worktop sets themselves, different sets with different shapes and different edge finishings. Now, let's talk briefly about improved existing components from top manufacturers, mainly drawers. So, for example, Merivo box from Bloom. Let me insert that. Here I can select how it's mounted to the front. And now it will take appropriate length according to available depth of the cabinet, or of course I can select length by hand. And we have added to many components documentation, so you can just double click on the document name and the corresponding PDF is opened. And lastly, new components from top manufacturers. We have added more than 180 new components, including, for example, drawers from GTV, Gloss Hardware Gola systems, those handle profile systems, more than 30 new handles from Häfele, and more than 100 new handles from Nomet. And we are constantly adding new components. And really briefly, this is not really our achievement, but well, to some degree. WOODEXPERT now is working with SOLIDWORKS 2024 and 25. Basically, the producer of SOLIDWORKS have changed some mechanisms in 2024 edition, and that made working with WOODEXPERT virtually impossible. So after a couple of months of meetings and trying and exchanging emails, we have convinced the producer to release a fix, and we are very happy to announce that WOODEXPERT now works properly with those versions of SOLIDWORKS. And that is all from me. Now I will be happy to answer questions. If you have any, please enter them in the chat room. Okay, so if there aren't any questions, then thank you for your attention. I encourage you to go and look at our website, woodexpert3d.com/en. At the bottom of the page, you can sign up to our newsletter, and in download section, you can request a free trial. Thank you for watching and feel free to contact us anytime. Thanks and have a nice day.